Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday with the Family. I'm your host, Julia Bimbrook, and we are so excited to be back with another episode hosted by the Alumni Association. So today's guest is Joy Fieldsend, and she works with the OSU Alumni Association and has some really cool travel information for us. This is going to be a fun one. I know everybody has been home for so long and is itching for those opportunities to travel. So welcome, Joy. We're really glad to have you.
Well, thank you. And I'm really excited to be talking about the Traveling Cowboys program today.
And so before we get started, I'm not the only one that gets to ask questions. We do want to encourage you all to join in as well. And we have a little bubble down there at the bottom of our screen. If you have a question for Joy, you can use the Ask a Question button in the webinar platform or comment on Facebook. And this time, we have a little bit more of a fun reason to ask questions as well. Do you want to tell us kind of about that giveaway, Joy?
Yes, this is some items that our travelers receive when they take a trip with us. And so we are going to give away a Traveling Cowboys prize pack. It's a Pistol Pete Traveling Cowboys backpack, a travel mug tumbler, a magnetic picture frame, a Cowboys luggage tag, and a lanyard.
So fun. And so all you have to do to get entered into that is to ask a question. So we will be picking one winner out of the people that ask questions today. But let's start, Joy, with a little bit of your background. Tell us about you and then also your role at the Alumni Association.
Okay. Well, I'll start off a little bit about myself. I was born in Sheffield, England, and lived there most of my life before coming over here. And the reason I ended up in Stillwater, Oklahoma is my husband's from Sheffield too, and he was offered a track and cross country scholarship to run at Oklahoma State. And so we came over here in 1982, and he went to school and competed for OSU in track and cross country for 4 years. And then after he graduated, we went back to England. Both got jobs, and then after a year we looked at each other and said, we really miss Stillwater, let's see if we can get back there. So we went about trying to get work permits and everything that you have to do to move to a different country, and moved back in 1989, and we've been here ever since. And Stillwater's home. We've raised our 2 girls here, and we just love being in Stillwater, being at OSU. And then I was lucky enough, 10 years ago, I got a job at OSU at the Alumni Association. So that was like my dream job. I love the job. I've just started my 11th year, and I am the Alumni Programs Coordinator. So I primarily work with the Traveling Cowboys program, and I also work with the Chapter Scholarship program as well.
And so the Traveling Cowboys program isn't new, but it has gone through a lot of changes lately. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Right, yes. About 30 years ago, there was a Traveling Cowboys travel program. And after 9/11, people stopped traveling, and the program just kind of fizzled out a little bit because our alumni just didn't want to travel. And then in 2015, President Hargis contacted us and said, I'm getting a lot of travel brochures from that Alumni Association down in Norman. And I'm wondering why we're not offering our alumni these trips to travel on, because they all look like such great trips. So he said, I wonder if we could do something like that. So we did some research, and we sent a survey to our alumni and asked if they would be interested in taking trips with us if we brought the program back. And we got an overwhelming response that yes, they'd love to travel with us. So we set the ball rolling, got everything going, and in 2016 we had 8 trips. We decided we'll start off with a few trips, see how it goes. So 2016, we did 8 trips, and they were so popular that we decided, well, in 2017, we'll double the trips to 16 trips. And people were excited and got lots of travelers. And so today, for next year, 2021, we have 28 trips. And so we've really grown the program. We have a lot of different destinations because everybody's travel dreams are different. No two people really like the same things on a trip. So we try to have something for everyone out there. And that's why we do the 28 trips.
And so tell me, I know that coronavirus has impacted this program within the last year, and I assume will a little bit in 2021. So what does that look like, and what kind of changes have you all had to make?
Right. 2020 has been a hard year for everyone, and the travel industry, especially has been hit especially hard. We did have to cancel all our trips from March through the end of this year. And so I know a lot of our travelers were disappointed that, their dream trips were canceled. But looking forward to 2021, the tour operators that we're working with have taken steps now. They've all put steps in place to make sure that our travelers, that the safety of our travelers is the prime concern. We will not be taking a trip before April of 2021. And if those trips don't look like it's going to be safe or there's not a vaccine, then we won't go on those trips. But we are planning to start traveling again in April. And we already have reservations coming in for June and July and October of next year. So people are ready to travel. They just want to wait till it's safe. And so we just wanted to still carry on putting the trips together so that when it's time to travel, we'll have the trips for our travelers.
And so let's take a look at some of the fun ones that we have in the mix. I know there are 3 that you want to highlight. So go ahead and tell us about those.
Well, yeah, with us having 28 trips, we didn't have time to go through them all. So I've just selected 3 that I think would be a good mix for our travelers. And the first one that I want to highlight is the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. This is such a great trip. We have not offered this trip before, but other universities that I speak with, they offer this yearly, and their travelers just rave about it. So we're excited to offer this October 1st through 4th of next year. And it will be the 3-night trip in Albuquerque, and guests will have a welcome reception, and they will get up close and personal viewing of the balloon ascensions, and they'll get access to the hospitality club, musical performances, and they will have the hotel they're staying at that will provide transportation to and from the park. So everything's taken care of, and they'll just have the best time. They'll see a dawn ascension and then 2 evening ascensions. So, and then they'll have a flamenco dinner. So it's going to be a great trip. And I already have some reservations on this trip, and I think it's going to be really popular.
And have you ever done this? I've always wanted to go.
I've always wanted to do it, and I have not done it. So this is something that I'd really like to do with this one. I've heard such great things about it.
Those are amazing. And for people watching, again, that information's at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question about this trip or any trip specifically, please use those formats to send those into Joy.
Yes, so and I did want to add that they have over 500 balloons. I didn't realize there was that many balloons, but yeah, it's the largest balloon event in the world in Albuquerque. So.
Wow. Yeah, all the color. That's a beautiful picture. I feel like I'm there. That's awesome.
I know. And then the next trip I wanted to highlight is our Radiant Alaska Cruise. And we offer this trip every year because it's such a popular trip with our travelers. It's cruising. You cruise up the Inside Passage up to Ketchikan and Juneau and Skagway. And then you go through the Hubbard Glacier. I haven't done this trip either, but we always send out a survey after each trip. And when we get our surveys back from the Alaska trip, everybody is just so impressed with the scenery and the wildlife that they see there. And so this is a trip, like I say, that we offer every year. So I wanted to be sure and share that with you.
And that's how long? How many days did it say up there?
That is a 10-day trip.
Okay, so that one's a little longer, a little more opportunity to see things. And then the next one, another fun. I mean, these are kind of all over the place, which is cool.
This is one of my favorites. This is Africa's Wildlife, and the reason I wanted to highlight this trip was I actually hosted this trip in 2019. This is a bucket list trip for me. I had always wanted to go on a safari and see all the wildlife. I'm a big elephant lover, so my bucket list was to see an elephant, and I saw more than my fair share of elephants. We saw the big five, and it was just a spectacular trip. And Odysseys is the company that offers this trip, and they took care of all our travelers. We were a small group. There were 24 of us. There were 18 Cowboys, and then we shared the trip, shared the group trip with the University of Arizona. You can see our group there. And people always ask me, if I'm going to travel, why would I travel with the traveling Cowboys? And everyone that travels with us will tell you, you build that camaraderie together, you share those experiences, you have all those memories, and everybody in this group, in the group that was with us, we're still friends today. They're talking about, they want us to all go on another trip together because they got along so well. And, because we can stay in touch on Facebook and places like that, we're still really good friends. And so this trip is just, if you're interested in taking a safari, all the details are taken care of. The only thing you have to do is pack your bags and show up, and you will have the time of your life. And another reason I chose this trip, there are quite a few safari trips offered out there, but I chose this one because as well as doing a safari, I wanted, if you're going to be traveling that far, I wanted to offer our travelers some history. So you get to go to Johannesburg, you'll go to Nelson Mandela's house, and you'll see the townships of Soweto. And then you'll go to Victoria Falls, and they are absolutely magnificent. And you get to spend 3 days there, and your hotel is right across from the falls, so you can hear them constantly. There's just like the roar of the falls. And then there's your safari that you look forward to. We had three safari camps. So we had quite a few days going out on safari. And I just think this trip offers so much to the travelers to go, because you're getting everything in one trip. So I want to go back. It was so good. I would go back tomorrow. So we're offering it again. And that trip is May 18th through 31st of 2021. So I encourage everybody, if you're just slightly interested, it's just a small group trip. So it's a maximum of 24. So if you're interested, don't wait to book, because this will sell out.
And so that one is a maximum of 24. How big are these groups normally?
It depends on the trip. A lot of our trips are small group ones, which is like 24 or 28. The picture that's on the screen now is we did a great journey through Europe trip, and that's at the Matterhorn, and that was a small group trip as well. But some of the trips we go on, especially the river cruises, we go as our alumni association, but there are other alumni associations on the trip with us. So when you're on a river cruise, you could be on the river cruise with people from Notre Dame and just all other schools. And it's so nice because it's all alumni. So the tour operators that we work with specialize in alumni travel. And so you will meet people. And I've had people even on the survey say, we met a couple from Oregon State. We're planning on going up to see them. They're going to come and see us. And so they make lifelong friendships, not only with fellow Cowboys, but with people from other universities around the country. So it's just a great way to travel. This is Gary and Jane Clark hosted for us, and they did the Legends of the Nile trip in Egypt. And they had a fantastic time. There's Gary Clark on the camel.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's just everybody just has such a great time and great memories that they love to share with one another. And just traveling with fellow Cowboys, it's just great.
So is there an OSU staff member on every trip?
No. We can what they call earn a host. So if you get the ratio of enough travelers, you can earn a host. So, and we don't know until probably 4 or 5 months before the trip's ready to depart whether we have a earn to host on that trip. But we have sent Dr. Sandifer has hosted for us, and Dean Kuntz has hosted for us. And then Larry Reese hosted the Alaska cruise for us one year. It was a Big 12 Alaska cruise. So all the other alumni associations were Big 12 schools. So Some of them have a host, and then it all depends whether we get a host. So.
Well, that's fun. With Larry Reese as the host, you'd feel like you were at a football game every time he was telling you what was going on, which OSU fans love.
Right.
So
and of course, on any trip, we always encourage our travelers, always pack lots of orange, because we want everybody to know that you're from Oklahoma State.
So fun. Yeah. Well, we've got lots of questions coming in from people. So I'm going to take a break from mine and get to some of them that are a little bit more specific. And I have a pronouncer here, but nobody hold me to this. This may or may not be correct. Kathy wants to know if you will be offering another trip to the previously sold out
Oberammergau.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, I'm so happy to tell you that we are offering that in 2022. And the Oberammergau trip, Julia, that is a once every 10-year trip for the Passion Play in Oberammergau. And so once we offer that, it fills up really quickly, and it was scheduled to go in June of this year, of 2020. But unfortunately, obviously, everything got cancelled. And so we had to postpone it. And they decided they didn't want to postpone it to 2021 in case things still weren't back to normal. So they left it, and now it's going to be in 2022. So we are offering the trip in 2022, and we do have space available. So if you're interested, go ahead and get booking.
Perfect. Well, that's good news. And then several people have asked, Joy, what is your favorite traveling Cowboys trip that you've personally been on?
Well, you know what? I have to say my favorite is the Africa trip, just because that's always been a bucket list trip for me. But my first trip to host was the Legends to Lagoons trip, which was a cruise to the Tahitian Islands. And I had never been on a cruise before. And this is not a huge cruise ship. Maximum passengers are 600. So it's not a really huge ship. I mean, that's still a lot of people, but it's not like in the thousands. And we flew to Tahiti, and then we cruised the Tahitian Islands. And it was just the most unspoiled place I have ever been to. The people were so friendly. The water was so clear. You didn't really need to snorkel because you could just see all the fish and the stingrays. And that was my first trip to host. So that always holds a special place in my heart, because I always think about that first trip. And then the great journey through Europe, the one that you saw the picture of the Matterhorn. We had such a great group of travelers on that trip that holds special memories too. And that trip's great because you do a week on land in Switzerland, and then you get on the river cruise, and then you cruise up the Rhine for the second week. And so you really get to know one another and just share those experiences. So they all hold great memories, but just because of my bucket list, I think Africa is my favorite.
Those all sound great. That's the thing. You can't go wrong. It sounds
right.
Like. Well, Debbie asked, who usually goes on this trip? Is it all alumni, or can people that like are friends of alumni, can they go too and sign up?
That's a great question. And that's a question that we do get a lot. Our trips are open to everyone. As long as you love OSU, we want you to be on our trips. And even on our Great Journey Through Europe trip, we actually had half of one. There was a group of 8, and half of that group were from different universities. 2 of them were from OU, alumni of OU, and the other 2 were Kansas State alumni. So we welcome everybody, and we say, come and join us on our trips. And you do not have to be an alumni. And we have a couple will travel with their friends who are not alumni, and they just enjoy being with us. And we have them wearing orange by the end of the week. So it's all good.
Get those Sooner fans in orange. That's the real goal, right? Well, Jamie asked if there are any trips planned that involved smaller cruise ships with a total of 200 people or fewer, that smaller grouping, anything like that?
There's nothing that small apart from the river cruises. And I do want to say that next year, because of the COVID situation, all our river cruises are only going to be at 75% capacity, so that there is not as many people on them. So, and the river cruises only have 160 capacity anyway, and they're going to be at 75%. But the ocean cruises, I think our smallest one is the 600. I think the only ones we do are the 600 passenger ones. So there's nothing smaller than that.
Gotcha. This is an interesting one. Jim asked if there are any sporting events outside of Stillwater that are a part of the Traveling Cowboys program.
That's a great question too, because I work with 6 tour operators that specialize in alumni travel, and they all offer something a little bit different. And next year is the first time that we're working with SET, which is a travel company that specializes in sporting trips. Actually, the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta is one of their trips. But in the future, I'm looking at doing, we're trying to decide whether to do Kentucky Derby, US Open Tennis, maybe the Masters Golf. Those are all trips that they offer. And so look for those coming in 2022, and we'll probably select 1 or 2 sporting trips to do.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, perfect question for that. Well,
Yeah.
Dixie says that the Albuquerque trip looks so fun. Do travelers actually book their own transportation to and from these destinations?
Right, and that depends on the trip also. If it's a domestic trip, usually you're responsible for getting to that destination. And some of our international trips, you can book your own flight if you want to use frequent flyer miles or things like that. But a lot of our trips, the flight is included in the price. So it depends which trip it is. Some of the flights are included. If they're not included, the company that you're working with will book the flights for you so that you're on the correct flight for the trip, and you'll get there in time for the trip and everything. But some is included and some's not. It all depends on the trip.
And then Vicky asked, is it mostly married couples who go on these trips, or do singles go as well?
No, we have a lot of singles that like to go on trips with us. Of course, if you're a single that's traveling, sometimes there's an upcharge because you're taking a room that is really for a double. So there can be a slight upcharge, but we do offer between 3 and 4 trips per year that there is no single supplement, which means that you will get your own room and you don't have to pay more than a couple that are going. It's just the same price as what a couple would pay per person, because we think it's important to include our single travelers, and really to travel with a group when you're a single traveler and you've got something in common like Oklahoma State, that it's just perfect, you know, because you already feel like you know people.
And you could get your group of friends and go with them as well,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And that's another thing. People always say, we have a big group. How do we do this? And so I just encourage them, you know, I don't take any of the bookings personally. You would call them. They all have toll-free numbers and all the information is on our website, but you would call the tour operator and say, there's a group of us that want to travel, and they will help you. They'll make sure that the whole group's together, that their rooms are close together, and things like that, because that's what they're specializing in, group travel.
And so in addition to the 3 trips that we already talked about, can you give us a sneak peek at what else is on that list?
I definitely can. We have some great trips coming up in 2021. We have, we're going to Canada, and we're going to Italy and Spain. We're going back to Tahiti, to the Legends to Lagoons cruise that I talked about, was the one I hosted. We have Portugal on there, back to Egypt because that's such a popular trip. Iceland is one that's very interesting. Iceland is very popular this year, so we decided to do Iceland for 2021. And India, I've decided we need to just broaden our horizons a little bit. And I think if people are interested in going to India, they would prefer to go in the group setting rather than try and plan something on their own. So in November of 2021, we're offering India. So I'm excited about that. And all our trips are on the website at orangeconnection.org/travel. And we also have the destination catalog that you can just flick through online, and it has all the trips, all the information, the prices are all in there.
And so that's orangeconnection.org/travel. And you can see that on your screen now if you want to write it down and go look here in a little bit. And then there is Joy's information on the screen as well. A phone number, email, places to reach her and ask questions if you didn't get yours in already today.
Yeah.
So Joy, is there anything? Oh, nope, we got one more question coming in. So let me grab that. I want to make sure that get those answered. This one says, how much flexibility do you have? This is from Paul. When you're like on the trips, you do everything with the group, or are there options to say like, I really want to see this? Can I go on my own?
Right. There absolutely. There's excursions are there for you to take advantage of the excursions. You can go with the group all the time if that's what you wish, but we also have the time for you to do stuff on your own, explore a town on your own. It's totally up to you. We don't say you've got to be here at this time and go with us. There's so much flexibility. And one of our tour operators that does the river cruises, they have like this flexible thing that you can tell them you want to ride a bike up the river path and meet the riverboat further along, or you want to just walk into town and then you'll come back later. They have so much flexibility built in. And on these trips as well, I forgot to mention earlier, we always try to get some time together as a group. On the small group trips, we're together all the time, so that's not as important. But if you're on one of the cruises, we need to, touch base, talk about our days, what excursions we went on. So we usually do a happy hour in the evenings where all the travelers can come together before dinner. And then a few times we'll actually eat dinner together as a group, or we'll meet for lunch, or some of the cruise ship does an afternoon tea, so we'll meet for afternoon tea. And there's lots of opportunities for us to get together and share our stories, and then share our old stories from our days at OSU, which we all love to talk about.
That's so true. It really brings everybody together. Yeah. Well, as people, as we kind of head off and wrap up today, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you and ask additional questions to get these trips booked?
You can certainly give me a call, or you can email me. I'm working from home right now, but my phone is forwarded to my home, or you can send me a quick email with what you're interested in. And I'd be happy to talk to you. I don't know if you can tell, I just love to travel. I love to talk about trips. So just let me know what your questions are, and I'd be happy to help you.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to add today?
Well, I want to say, this has been a difficult year, and I just feel like we can all dream a little, dream about maybe where we want to go. And the perfect way is to go to the website, just go through that destination catalog. And even if you're not ready to travel right now, you can dream about it and jot that down for the future, for when you are ready.
That is a good note to end on. Thank you so much, Joy, for taking the time. And I know we had a lot of interesting questions here, so I'm sure you're going to be a busy woman afterwards as well. We do have a few things before we head off today. Number one, we did randomly select one of the viewer questions as our winner. So drum roll if you're at home, please. The winner of the Traveling Cowboys prize pack, which you can see on screen, is Dixie Thomas. And we will be reaching out soon to Dixie to send you your prize. So thank you to all of you for your questions. And thank you, Dixie. Congratulations for yours. Now, you won't want to miss our next Fridays with the Family. It's set for October 23rd. We've got the very first one of the father and son duos to serve as Pistol Pete set to join us. This is Rick Wilson, who served as Pete from 1984 to 86, and his son Parker, who's one of the two new Petes and is serving this academic year. You can register now to watch at orangeconnection.org/webinars, where you can also view our previous broadcast along with many other educational videos. This one will be up as well. If you want to send it to some of your friends and say, hey, go on this trip with me, you'll have all that information ready to go. While we don't have a football game this weekend, we do want to let everyone know that Orange Friday at Iron Monk in Stillwater will return October 23rd before the Iowa State game. Cowboys 21 and older can show our active Alumni Association membership card and receive free brew between 5 and 7. So again, that's October 23rd. Speaking of membership, now is a great time to log into our new online profile at orangeconnection.org to claim your life membership credit and secure your member benefits for life. Membership also helps the Alumni Association connect Cowboys virtually through programming like Fridays with the Family. Thank you so much for joining us again today, Joy. We really appreciate you taking the time. I hope that a lot of people are inspired to book those trips. And so we hope that everyone is out there, can stay safe, stay healthy. As always, go Pokes, wear orange. Happy Orange Friday. Thank you, guys.